Today I'm going to show you how to knit these slippers. If you need the pattern, you can get it through this link up here. You can also go to the link in the description. You can use any worsted weight yarn that you choose. I prefer acrylic, that's just my choice, but you might want to use something else. I also am using this size knitting needle for this project. It's a 4mm or a US size 6 knitting needle. We're going to start by casting on 3 stitches. And then we're going to knit 2 rows. Now we're going to knit the first stitch, make a stitch, and then knit the last 2 stitches. Now we're going to knit across for another 2 rows. This time there's 4 stitches on our needle. Knit the first stitch, and now we're going to make another increase, which is the make 1. I screwed that up, I had to refilm it. And then we're going to knit all the way to the end of the row until there's 1 stitch left. Do another make 1 stitch, so it's another increase, and then knit the last stitch. Once you're done the increases on each end, knit 2 rows across. Keep repeating, knitting the first stitch, increasing, knitting to the end of the row and increasing again, knitting the last stitch, and then knitting the 2 rows until you have a total of 16 stitches on your needle. If you need row by row instructions to make the heel flap, you can go and read the pattern for free on my website. The link is in the corner, or you can go into the description and click the link there. Now that I've increased and have 16 stitches on my needle, I'm knitting across for 2 rows. Now to start the side of the slipper, we're going to cast on 14 stitches. This is what it looks like when you're done, and we are going to be working on what is the wrong side of the slipper. The wrong side of the slipper always starts with a purl. So you purl the first stitch, knit the next stitch, purl the next stitch, knit, purl, knit, purl. This is knit 1, purl 1 knitting. Note that when I purl a stitch, I pull the yarn forward, and when I knit a stitch, I pull the yarn back. So now I have 14 stitches of purl, knit, purl, knit. You start with a purl, you should end with a knit. Purl the next stitch, and then we're going to knit 14 stitches. When you get to the last stitch, purl it. Now we need to make the other side of the slipper, so we're going to cast on 14 stitches again. Now you should have a total of 44 stitches on your needle. Even I double checked to make sure I cast on the right number of stitches. Start with knitting the first stitch, purling the next stitch, knitting the next stitch after that, and we're going to do this again for a total of 14 stitches. You're going to note a funny looking little stitch here. That one, we're going to knit into that. for a total of 16 stitches. 14 for the sole and 2 for the edge stitches that are going to let it fold in the right spot. And now we're going to do the other purl, knit for the other side of the slipper. Because this is the right side of the slipper, you're always going to start and end with a knit stitch. There's the purl and there's the knit. That's what yours should look like. Back to the wrong side. So you start with a purl and we knit, purl for 14 stitches. The 14 stitches will end with a knit. Purl the next stitch. This makes the line between the sole and the sides of the slipper. It'll automatically fold there. Knit the next 14 stitches of the sole. Then we're going to purl that edge line again. Knit, purl all the way down the 14 stitches again. Once again, you're going to end on a purl. This is how you knit the row on the wrong side. Back to the right side. Once again, we start with the knit, purl for the 14 stitches. And ending with a purl. Knit 16 stitches for the sole and the folds of the slipper. Then back to purl 1, knit 1 for the 14 stitches that make up the side of the slipper, making sure that you're ending with a knit. Ta-da! So that's the 2 rows that make up the majority of this pattern. If you've made it correctly this far, you're definitely going to be able to make this entire slipper, I guarantee you. What I'm pointing out here is the fold along the edge of the slipper on the right side. It'll automatically fold up and make a nice corner when you're wearing the slipper. Just keep knitting those 2 rows until you get the length of the slipper that you need. The number of rows you need vary depending on the size of the slipper that you're making. For this pair, it was a women's size 10, so I needed 68 rows. You'll have to check the pattern to see how many rows you're going to need. To continue the pattern and make sure that the toe looks nice when we're all finished, we have to make 1 extra row on the wrong side. Work the row as you normally have. We're all done making this slipper pretty much. Now we're just going to end the toe so it looks really nice when it's all said and done. Admittedly, the stitch counts for this next part seem a little weird, but it's done so we can maintain the pattern for the toe. Knit the first stitch and then knit 2 together for 12 stitches. Knit 1 stitch, then knit 2 together for the rest of the stitches in the row. By selectively knitting those single stitches, we've maintained the pattern to keep the ribbing really nice and sharp. To keep the pattern going, we're now going to purl the next 8 stitches. Knit the next 7 stitches. And then we're going to purl to the end of the row. This is what it looks like on the wrong side, and the right side. We still maintain the pattern. Now we're just going to knit 2 together straight across. My knitting isn't super tight. It just looks really awkward for me to do this because I'm sitting in a chair with arms and there wasn't enough room for my needle ends to move. And don't forget to knit that last stitch. Back to the wrong side. Now we're going to purl 5, knit 3, and purl to the end of the row. Looking good. We're nearly done, by the way. Cut your yarn. You're going to want to leave a fairly long length of tail so you can sew your seams up when you're done. This is called pulling through. We're going to gather all the stitches together just like this. So each one is coming off the needle. Give your yarn a little bit of a yank to pull it through. Now you have a nice end of your toe. Sew up the toe of your slipper and then flip the flap up and sew the heel flap into the back of the slipper. That's it. You're done. Thank you so much for watching the video. I wanted it to be a really fast one. It didn't turn out to be a fast video at all. I'm sorry, but at least it's thorough. You can get this in my Etsy store.